Listen well, my brothers, and tread carefully. Beneath the moon-bleached dunes of the Arabian wilderness, where the wind itself howls like a wounded Ifrit, there lie treasures so vast they could ransom empires, and curses so black they have devoured entire bloodlines. You have been lied to. What your grandmothers whispered by the fire, tales of brass lamps and kindly wish-granting jinn, was a veil, a sweet poison meant to keep children asleep and fools content. The truth is older, crueler, and written in blood across the sands. For I tell you now, with the weight of centuries upon my tongue, the jinn do not serve men, they guard. They guard hoards of gold and jewels buried by kings who bargained with darkness itself. They guard them with chains of fire, with storms that flay the flesh from bone, with illusions that drive the greedy mad before the first spade strikes earth. Every lost caravan, every bleached skeleton found clutching a single Byzantine solidus, every nameless ruin swallowed by the dunes, these are not accidents, they are warnings. Ask yourself, O seeker, why does no map, no matter how ancient, no matter how precise, ever lead a living man to the treasure of Al-Sufyani? Why did the Bedouin tribes for 1,000 years rather die of thirst than camp near the blackened stones of Wadi al-Jinn? Why did the Ottoman janissaries sent to retrieve the lost hoard of Shah Nadir vanish to the last man, their armor found melted as if kissed by the breath of hell? Because the jinn were commanded, by oaths older than Islam, older than Zoroaster, older than the tongues of men, to stand sentinel until the day of reckoning, or until a soul black enough, bold enough, and cursed enough comes to claim kinship with the guardians themselves. Tonight, in this very hour, I unseal a forbidden fragment from the lost Kitab al-Kanz al-Akbar, the book of the greater treasure, copied in the scriptorium of Rai before the Mongols put it to the torch. What you are about to hear has been struck from every published edition of the 1001 Nights. It is the real reason desert gold is called the devil's ransom. Steel your heart. The wind is rising. The guardians are listening. Sir, do you wish me to unroll the next parchment scroll and proceed with the next section?
Before the tale itself may be spoken, a man must know the battlefield. The legend of the jinn-guarded treasure is not born of idle fancy. It is stitched into the very sinew of history, carved on basalt stelae that predate the Prophet, peace and blessings upon him, by 1,000 years, and sealed in the imperial archives of empires that thought themselves eternal. Let us walk backward through the blood-soaked centuries. In the year 1739 of your Western reckoning, Nadir Shah Afshar, the Lion of Iran, the Scourge of Delhi, sacked the Peacock Throne and carried away a mountain of jewels so immense that the roads from Hindustan to Khorasan were paved with spilled rubies. Yet when the conqueror returned to his fortress at Kalat, he did not sleep easy. In the dead of night, he summoned his most trusted mullahs and Zoroastrian magi, and in a chamber sealed with 7 locks, he dictated a secret testament. That testament, copied by a trembling scribe and buried beneath the foundations of Mashhad, swears that half the plunder was never his to keep. It belonged already to older masters. Nadir Shah, for all his swords and cannons, paid tribute in gold and in the lives of 300 Persian sappers who were buried alive atop the hoard in the Dasht-e-Lut to renew the ancient pact. Go further back. In the Sassanid annals of Shar-e-Kumes, destroyed by the Arabs in 651 CE, there exists a single charred fragment describing Khosrow II Parviz hiding the royal treasury in the salt desert south of Damgan when the Byzantine armies marched on Ctesiphon. The chronicler writes, "His Majesty commanded the Merzban of the eastern marches to bind the treasure with the seal of Suleiman, son of David, and to station over it the Ifrit Qatmir and 70,000 of his fiery kin, for the king feared men less than he feared the return of that which he had stolen from the temple of fire." Even earlier, in the ruins of Hatra, the sun-bleached city that defied Rome, archaeologists, fools who did not know what they touched, unearthed the Parthian inscription in Aramaic. "Let no son of Adam disturb the gold of the serpent-eyed ones, for the lords of smoke stand watch until the stars fall." But the deepest root lies in pre-Islamic Yemen, in the days when the Himyarite kings ruled from Zafar and traded with Aksum and Rome. In the lost book of the Himyarite kings, quoted only by Ibn al-Kalbi before he himself vanished, it is written that every great treasure, be it the incense wealth of Saba, the emerald mines of Zabid, or the frankincense caravans, was required by ancient law to give 1/7 part to those who dwell between, the jinn. The king who failed to pay found his wells poisoned with sulfur, his camels maddened, and his children born with the eyes of jackals. From the incense roads of Saba to the silk routes of the Mughals, from the salt caravans of Tagaza to the amber routes of the Baltic, yes, even there, the same covenant repeats itself like a drumbeat under history. Great wealth attracts great power. Great power, left unguarded, invites theft by men. Therefore, men who fear other men more than they fear God make pacts with what is older than God's latest covenant. The Ottoman defters, the sealed ledgers of the Topkapi archives, still record expeditions that were never meant to reach their destination. Janissary companies dispatched to recover the treasure of Al-Sufyani in the Nafud, the hoard of Karun in the western desert, the gold of Bilqis beneath Marib. None returned. The official entry is always the same: lost to sandstorm. We who read between the lines know better. Sandstorms have names, and some of those names are only spoken in fire. This is no fairy tale, brothers. This is the hidden tax that empire has always paid to the unseen world. Sir, do you wish me to unroll the next parchment scroll and proceed with the next section?
The year is 1147 of the Hijrah, 1734 of the Franks. The place, the black heart of the great Nafud, where the dunes rise like the vertebrae of a buried titan. They called him Malik ibn Zaid al-Jabar, a prince of the Shamar who had lost everything to the treachery of his own uncle. His tents burned, his wells poisoned, his brothers' throats cut while they slept. He fled with only 40 riders, 40 blades sworn to him until death,
and a single obsidian tablet stolen from the ruins of Al-Ukhdud. On that tablet, in the spidery script of ancient Saba, was etched the location of the greatest hoard ever concealed by mortal hands, the treasure of Al-Sufyani, the lost war chest of the Umayyad pretender who nearly toppled the Abbasids in the year 141 AH. For 3 moons they rode, following stars that no astronomer in Baghdad had ever named. Camels dropped dead beneath them, their humps sliced open by their own riders for the last mouthful of water. Men began to see their own shadows walking ahead of them at noon, mocking them. On the 40th night, they crested a ridge of red sand and beheld it, a circular depression the size of a city, ringed by 7 blackened monoliths, taller than palm trees, each carved with a single eye that wept iron tears. In the center yawned a sinkhole, perfectly round, exhaling air so cold it burned the lungs. Malik dismounted. His men begged him to turn back. Even the hardest among them, men who had slit throats for a copper dirham, felt the ground itself recoil from their footsteps. But Malik ibn Zaid had nothing left to lose except the vengeance burning in his chest. He drew the obsidian tablet, pricked his thumb until blood ran black in the moonlight, and spoke the words he had memorized under pain of death. Ya Qatmir, Ya Lord of the 7th flame, I am the seed of him who broke the covenant. I come not to steal, but to reclaim what was promised to my blood. Open the gate or devour me and be done. The wind died. The stars themselves seemed to freeze. Then the sand within the circle began to boil. From the sinkhole rose a pillar of fire without smoke, and within the fire stood a figure taller than 3 men, forged of molten brass and midnight. Its face was a furnace, its eyes were whirlpools of burning pitch. Chains of white-hot iron bound his wrists, yet he moved as though the chains were silk. This was Qatmir, the Ifrit who had once served Suleiman ibn Dawood, now condemned to guard the gold of traitors for all eternity. The monster spoke, and its voice was the sound of 1,000 swords being drawn at once. Mortal flesh dares the seal a second time? Your ancestor Sufyan broke the oath and spilled the blood of the commander of the faithful. For that crime I was bound here, and for that crime his treasure was cursed. Turn back, son of betrayal, or join the bones that pave my gate. Malik did not flinch. He raised the obsidian tablet and smashed it against the nearest monolith. Black shards flew like ravens. I am not here for forgiveness. I am here for power. If the treasure is cursed, then give me the curse as well. I will drink it like water. For a heartbeat, silence. Then Qatmir laughed, a sound that shattered the monoliths and hurled Malik's 40 riders from their camels, deafened and bleeding from the ears. Bold, rumbled the Ifrit, bold and black-hearted. Very well, descend, prince of nothing. But know this, the gold is awake. It remembers every hand that ever touched it, and it is hungry. The pillar of fire parted like a curtain. Beneath lay a staircase of human vertebrae, descending into darkness that swallowed torchlight. Malik drew his saber, kissed the blade, and stepped onto the bones. Behind him, 39 of his 40 riders turned their camels and fled into the night screaming. Only one remained, a mute slave soldier named Harb, whose tongue had been cut out for speaking truth to a tyrant. Harb looked at his master with eyes that had already accepted death and followed him down. The gate of bone closed above them. The earth exhaled, and the dunes erased every trace of their coming. "Sir, do you wish me to unroll the next parchment scroll and proceed with the next section?" Down they went, two mortal sparks falling into the gullet of the earth. The staircase ended in a cavern so vast the torchlight could not find its roof. The air stank of frankincense, blood, and molten copper. And there, piled higher than the walls of Baghdad, lay the treasure of Al-Sufyani. Gold, not mere coins, but rivers of it. Umayyad dinars fused into ingots by centuries of infernal heat. Ruby-encrusted swords that had drunk the blood of caliphs. Crowns torn from the brows of fallen kings. The fabled peacock throne itself, broken into 1,000 jeweled shards. And at the summit, a single black diamond the size of a man's heart, pulsing like a dying star. But the gold was alive. It moved. Tendrils of liquid metal crawled across the floor like serpents, seeking the warmth of living flesh. Where they touched the bones of earlier thieves, the bones stood up, reassembled themselves, and turned empty sockets toward the newcomers. Qatmir's voice rolled through the cavern like thunder trapped underground. "Behold the curse, son of Sufyan. Every piece here bears the soul print of the tyrant who hoarded it. Touch one coin, and that tyrant's greed will pour into your veins. Touch 10, and you become their vessel. Touch all, and you will rule the world for 7 breaths, then burn until the mountains are dust." Malik laughed, a sound raw with centuries of inherited rage. "Then let them come." He strode forward and plunged both arms to the shoulder in the living gold. The cavern screamed. 1,000 ghostly kings, emirs, and sultans tore free of the metal and rushed into him. Faces contorted, mouths open in silent howls. His body arched, veins black as ink rose beneath his skin. His eyes ignited with the same furnace light that blazed in Qatmir's face. Harb, the mute slave, tried to drag him back. A whip of molten gold lashed out, wrapped around Harb's throat, and pulled him down into the horde. His body dissolved in a heartbeat, leaving only a single gold coin that bore his screaming face on its surface. Malik rose, taller now, crowned with a diadem of living flame. "I accept the covenant," he roared, voice no longer entirely his own. "I will bear the greed of every dead king. In return, I claim dominion over the guardians themselves." Qatmir knelt, chains shattering like glass. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Ifrit bowed to a mortal man. But the pact was never meant to be fulfilled. Deep within the black diamond, at the horde's peak, something older than Qatmir stirred. It had waited since the days of Suleiman, bound by the prophet king's ring, starved of worship, patient as stone. It had allowed Qatmir to guard the gate, had allowed tyrants to feed it scraps of ambition, because every soul that touched the treasure fattened it for the day a vessel strong enough would finally come. Malik ibn Zaid was that vessel. The black diamond cracked. From the fissure poured a darkness that had weight, texture, taste, darkness that ate fire and sound. It wrapped around Malik like a second skin, pouring into his mouth, his eyes, his wounds. His body convulsed, bones lengthening, flesh turning translucent as smoked glass. Horns of obsidian erupted from his brow, wings of living shadow unfurled. Qatmir looked up in terror, too late. The thing that had once been Malik spoke with a voice that was legion. I was called Iblis before your kind gave me lesser names. The treasure was never the gold. The treasure was always the man foolish enough to claim it. The cavern collapsed inward. The dunes above swallowed the monoliths, the sinkhole, the very memory of the place. When the Shamar riders who had fled returned at dawn, trembling, they found only smooth sand and a single gold coin lying on the surface. Harb's screaming face already worn smooth by the wind. Yet, on certain moonless nights, caravans still report seeing a towering figure of black glass and starless night walking the ridgelines of the Nafud, dragging chains of molten gold, weeping tears of fire that harden into rubies where they fall. Men call him Al-Malik Al-Aswad, the Black King. And wherever his shadow passes, wells dry, camels madden, and brave men wake screaming with the sudden unbearable lust for a treasure they have never seen. Sir, do you wish me to unroll the next parchment scroll and proceed with the next section?
The tale ends where most men wish it had never begun, in the mirror. For the treasure of Al-Sufyani is not a place, it is a test. And every empire, every dynasty, every man who ever clawed his way to a throne has stood at that same staircase of bones and heard the same whisper, "Take it. It is yours by right. You deserve it. You alone are strong enough." That is the black diamond speaking, the same stone that once adorned the crown of Iblis before his fall. Greed is not the sin here. Greed is the bait. The sin is the belief that a man may wield absolute power and remain a man. Malik ibn Zaid did not lose his soul because he desired gold. He lost it because he desired to be the exception, the one mortal immune to the rot that consumed every king before him. He mistook strength for purity. He mistook vengeance for justice. And in that mistake, he became the final link in an unbroken chain that stretches from Qarun, who mocked Musa, to Korah, who sank into the earth, to the Pharaoh who thought himself God, to every warlord and president and CEO who ever believed the world could be bent without breaking the bender. The jinn are not the villains of this story. They are the custodians of consequence. Qatmir knelt not out of obedience, but out of pity. He had watched this drama 1,000 times. He knew the script by heart. And the desert? The desert is the final judge. It buries palaces and bones with the same indifferent wind. It does not care if you were caliph or camel driver.
It only asks one question when you dare disturb its sleep. Are you still human? Modern man laughs at such tales. He digs with machines now, not spades. He sends satellites to photograph the dunes, drones to map the ruins, mercenaries to secure the oil beneath the sand. Yet the wells still run dry without reason. The pipelines burst in perfect circles. The bravest soldiers wake screaming of a black figure with burning eyes standing at the foot of their cots in sealed bases. The covenant was never broken. It simply changed currency. Gold is crude, power is refined. Every man who believes he can take without paying, every leader who believes the laws of men are the only laws, every soul that hungers to be the exception stands already on the staircase of bones. The guardians wait. They always wait.
There is no treasure in the desert that is worth the price of becoming the desert slave. Malik ibn Zayed, walk still, they say, when the wind is sharp enough to cut flesh from bone, a king without a kingdom, a man without a soul, dragging his chains of molten gold across the empty places of the world. He is the warning carved on every dune, the reason the Bedouin will spit and turn away when you ask the way to the old ruins. Remember this, my brothers. The jinn do not guard gold. They guard the moment when a man forgets he is merely a man. Power offered without cost is the oldest lie. Power accepted without reckoning is the quickest road to damnation. Let the soft ones chase their lamps and their 3 wishes. We who have heard the truth know better. The real treasure is the heart that can look upon a mountain of gold, hear the whisper of empires, feel the fire of the black diamond against the palm, and still turn away with its humanity intact. Few are those who manage it. Most become another layer of bones beneath the sand, another link in the chain, another pair of burning eyes added to the endless patrol of the guardians. So I leave you with this, the final oath of the old Hakawati. May your wells never run dry. May your shadow never walk ahead of you at noon. And may you never, ever hear your name spoken by a voice that has no tongue. The night is deep. The desert is patient. Guard your soul better than any king ever guarded his gold. If this tale has carved itself into your bones, if the wind outside your window now sounds different than it did before, then strike the bell, carve your mark below, and swear by the one who needs no guardian that you will join me when next I unseal a forbidden scroll. Until that hour, walk softly. The guardians are always listening. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. The parchment is sealed. The fire dies. I await your command for the next journey into the dark.